Hi, welcome to Premiere Scene. I'm Cyrus Lowe and I am very excited to be at the Genesis Cinema tonight at the Gala screening of Solitary. Katharine, to me, Nora is quite a whirlwind of a character. Who did you base her on in the writing and the portraying of her?
I didn't really base her on any one person. I was interested in that kind of character because I felt like Nora had created a caricature, like a mask that she wore to protect herself. And so I wanted to I drew on lots of different people that I knew and different, obviously, I don't know, I guess as writers we pull from all different worlds. But that's how I wanted to explore her, was as somebody who you think is one thing and then her mask falls away and we really kind of understand who she is underneath.
And what inspired you to tell this story?
I feel like, sadly, particularly where I grew up, but in England as a whole, I feel like we aren't very good at often talking about our feelings or talking about what's going on in families. And so I really wanted to write something that looked at what happens when we don't talk about tragic events as they happen, and we create characters like Nora who ultimately sometimes go out into the world and destroy lives, their own or other people's. So I really wanted to address that if we could perhaps talk about things as they're happening and bring light into certain really scary subjects, I think that would be better off.
And I'm guessing you didn't film the film in sequence, so was it difficult tracking Nora's emotional journey throughout the period of filming?
It really was, actually, yeah. I felt like for Nora there was, before a very specific point, I don't want to give any spoilers away, there was a very clear turning point for Nora where, as I said, her mask falls away and she loses her entire identity and she has to rebuild herself in a completely different way. So for me, it was tracking that journey, how much she was being herself and how much she was being this character she'd created.
And you were juggling many hats during this process. Was that hard?
It was really, really, really challenging. And next time I would hope to structure it in a different way where I could step away at an appropriate time and then just focus on the acting. Because producing and acting at the same time, it uses two very different sides of your brain. So that was challenging. Once the acting, you have to be vulnerable and open and sensitive, and producing, it's much more logical and clear-headed and dispassionate. And so I was kind of at war with myself.
And what was it like working with Sacha?
Oh, it was amazing. He was really he was the one director that I trusted to who understood what I was trying to say, and also who wasn't going to try to make Nora more appealing or sanitize her or make her more likable, because that was something that a lot of people told us that we needed to do, was because she is very, as you say, she's a whirlwind. And he really trusted that was what we had to show. And he was very truthful and respectful of that.
And I think one of the things that really stood out for me in the film was the believable relationship between Nora and her sister. And was that relationship based on any relationship that you've had in the past?
I took that relationship from the archetype of sisters that often we are who we are because of our birth order. And because Shannon was the older sister and they lost their mother when they were very young, she was that archetype of she felt like she had to take care of everything and all the responsibility was put onto her. And so what I think can happen in families is then, because Nora's the younger sister, she's obviously going to want to create an identity that's very different from her older sister. So she becomes the rebellious black sheep who's really wild. And I think it's interesting. I often wonder who we would be, or how much of who we are is just dictated by what order we're born in. So that's where that relationship really came from.
Shannon seems like quite a tough character. Why do you think she's like this?
I think it comes from a desperation to keep the family unit together. She didn't want to be an orphan, so to speak. She didn't want the family unit to break up. And because of the history of Nora, her sister, I think she just felt that she had to be that way in order to keep everything, the status quo as it was. Didn't quite work, but that was the plan. Yeah, that's what she wanted.
And you and Katharine have created a very, very, very believable sibling relationship. Did you do any work on that together, or did you base it on your own sibling relationship?
Well, basically, we've been friends for, I don't know, 18 years or something. Sisters, soul sisters, really. We're very, very close. So that relationship was already established. It was already there. So, yeah, it was pretty easy to, develop that sister relationship without much work. We did do a bit of rehearsal before, a week before, just to, with the script and stuff. But the basic relationship was there. Yeah.
And was it hard juggling your actor and producer role?
Yeah, it was. It was difficult, actually. It was. I was receiving texts and things as a producer just seconds before I'd have to shoot a scene. So it was difficult, but it was so fun. I loved it.
And what attracted you to the project?
Basically, I wanted to make a film, and Katharine had written an amazing script. And so I spoke to her and said, look, I'd really like to make a film. Let's work on something together. And she sent me the script, which I read. And I just thought it was such a strong script with such a strong message that we had to make the film. And yeah, that's really what attracted me to it, was her script and the message that we wanted to put across.
And the film, to me, feels like it has very definite chapters. What was your favourite, without giving any of the plot away, but what was your favourite chapter? What's your favourite chapter of the film?
As in filming, or as in the script, as in the story, or as in filming a certain chapter?
As you were filming it, yeah.
As we were filming it. I think probably the final chapter for me, yeah. The final chapter for me was the one I enjoyed the most, yeah.
And how was it making a film where there are younger versions of your character?
That was really interesting, actually, especially to see them come to life on screen. It was amazing to see how similar they looked to us for a start, and also casting them. So from casting them to them seeing them as our younger selves on screen was exciting. It was great. Loved it. Yeah.
And how was it working with Sasha?
He's amazing. He's a real actor's director, so he makes you feel really confident. He guides you in a way that he's going to bring the best out in you as a performer. So you know that when he says, he's got the take, you believe that he has. So you feel quite confident in what you've done.
Michael, what attracted you to the role of David?
Well, basically, I heard about Sasha Crane. I wanted to actually work with Sasha. That was my first initial thought. And then actually, it was more about once we did the casting. Because the casting, I had to work seriously hard to get the part. I mean, I think the casting was about 40 minutes long. And he seriously put me through my paces. So it was actually from the casting that I thought that, if it comes my way, that it's something I definitely want to do.
And do you think the casting was so long because was Sasha kind of using Meisner technique, or was it kind of how in depth he was?
He was using Ninja Turtle technique. He was. No, I don't know, but he certainly. I mean, I felt effectively that was our rehearsal time because once you do a lot of independent films, you don't get time to rehearse. I certainly felt that the time I had in my casting was effectively my rehearsal time because he really worked both myself and Katharine quite well.
And what was it like working with Sasha?
Oh, brilliant. I mean, the way it's nice to work with directors who aren't just painting pictures. I was only on the set for maybe about 4 to 6 days, but I felt like each day was a week, and I mean that in the best possible sense, in the sense that he allowed me to have time. He allowed my character to have time, and hopefully that comes across when you see the film, that those quiet scenes he certainly allowed myself to breathe, and I felt he was watching, which is great. For an actor to have a director that's actually watching what you're doing rather than painting pictures was really great.
And to me, it very much felt like David does the right thing and stands by Nora. Why do you think he does that in the film?
Well, I mean, he loves Nora. I mean, the thing is with David that I don't think anyone outside of that relationship will understand why they keep getting back together. I don't think they know why they keep getting back together. All I know is that I think David feels that he's a protector. He's almost like the father figure that she doesn't have, as well as loving her as a lover. But I think even though they went on to a different relationship, I think David will always come back to Nora. If she picks up the phone and is in trouble, he'll always be there.
And the most important question from my point of view is what happens with David's band?
With the band? Oh, we represent, man. No, I mean, who knows? I think Davey's one of those people that just keeps. He's, probably a very talented musician, and he's been in the business for a long time, but just is waiting to get that break.
Fiona, what attracted you to the role of Maxine?
Well, it was a very gritty role the film is a very gritty film, and the role is a nice, spicy, feisty character that I wanted to take on board. Kat actually wrote it slightly differently, and then as we know each other as friends, she was like, I actually think that we could work you in and add an extra layer to this character where you wish that you are Sarina's character, Shannon's sister. So I have a jealousy with Nora throughout the whole film / my role, whereas before it was going to be played by an older woman actually, so it has a different dynamic. So yeah, we really explored that together, and obviously she changed it. And
I definitely do get a kind of protege sense from your characters. That definitely clearly comes across. And what was your favourite scene to film?
So Katharine and I are great friends. So the scene where we actually in real life, so the scene where Nora and I have an argument and she turns up at the office, that was fun. Yeah, because we're both quite strong women, so in the scene and in real life. So, and we love each other as friends, so it was hilarious to have that moment where we get quite snippy.
If I remember it well, she tells you you're only the help.
I know. Yes, and she storms out, and then I utter something under my breath, which seems to get a laugh every single time, which is nice. I don't know why.
How was it working with Sasha?
Sasha is fantastic. He really wants to work with, we rehearsed in Los Angeles, because actually I live in LA. So we worked together at Lee Strasberg. We worked the scene, Sarina and I, and Kat as well, obviously, with Nora. And on set, he just, attention to detail, he's got a really great manner working with actors and to collaborate with each other, yeah. So he's wonderful.
And in terms of his technique and his methodology, do you think there was a big influence on the film and how the characters were portrayed?
Yes, definitely. And I think the great thing about Sasha is that he also allows you to come with your own method and your own technique, and he allows the artists to really express themselves and go through their own journey and bring that to the table and have a nice discussion with where we fit and get the best result. So it's not just, he's not one dictator sort of just tells you what to do. There's a real sense of teamwork is really what it's about, yeah.
And what do you think the film's message is?
Wow.
For you.
For me, I guess, don't swallow all those secrets. Make sure that you express them when they happen. Yeah, definitely. Don't keep any secrets.
So what attracted you to the part of the younger Shannon?
I think you get so many scripts sent to you, and there's not many that resonate with you so much. It was so raw and so real, and touching on subjects that nobody dares to really broach. So I think that was something about it. It was so daring, and Katharine was, when I met Katharine as well, she was lovely. She's from up north, I'm from up north, kind of bonded there. So there was no doubt in my mind. I loved it.
And because you are playing the younger version, did you feel at times that you were in a different film, or did you feel you felt still part of the story when you were filming?
I absolutely felt part of the story. I think it would have been very easy to do that, to feel like I was part of another film. But I knew that the way I played it was going to be important to ensure that Sarina's character was looked on in a positive light at the end. You know, if I'd have been an awful, nasty teenager towards my sister, it would have played out very differently. So not at all. There was a definite through line for me, and also I chatted with Sarina as well before it, so there were lots of things that we talked about, and so no, not at all.
And what do you think the film's message is?
Silence can be deafening, I think. It's don't do it. It can ruin your life. And I think if anybody watches this film and they can connect with any of the messages in it, that should be the one they connect with. Is just speak out, and it will change your life. If it doesn't change your life, it will change somebody else's life. And I think that is the most important thing about this film, and that's why everybody should see this film for that reason.
And what was it like working with Sasha?
Amazing. He's the loveliest guy. He's so calm. No matter if you push for time, it didn't matter. He was just so calm. And just so easy to work with. I had one line that I just really struggled with, and it was the shortest line, and I just couldn't get it right. And I said, Sasha, what do I do? And he went, just take a pause. Take a pause. And that was it. I took a pause, and it changed the whole thing. It was great. Brilliant.